What is up, everybody? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today we're doing our Top 10 Tuesday, which is going to be focusing on my favorite cooperative games. And so in the comments section, go ahead and comment what are your favorite cooperative games, and let's see if some of those match up with my list here today. As always, if you've never seen these videos before, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like the video, helps with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel, because the more subscribers, usually the better that helps the channel somehow. I don't know how that helps, but it'd be great if you could subscribe, because the more subscribers, I feel like you get something out of that, right? But anyways, thank you guys for tuning into this video. Let's go ahead and get it started with my number 10. So cooperative games, before I get into my number 10, cooperative games are just basically games that you guys play together. It's games like Pandemic, where everybody's on the same team trying to accomplish the same goal. I had a lot of cooperative games, and I myself am a huge fan of cooperative games, so I had a huge list of them, but these are my top 10. There were some that made this list that I removed them because I think there was like maybe 4 dungeon crawlers on this list, and I was like, maybe I should just do a dungeon crawler list. So I'm going to do another list for my favorite dungeon crawlers, and I left those games for that. But as far as these go, these are just my favorite cooperative games, which not dungeon crawler. I'm going to keep these more just like games that you can play as a team, but not dungeon crawlery where it's like super campaigny and stuff like that. So let's start with my number 10. My number 10 is actually a new game that just came out, just released, and I've been playing it a lot, and I've really been enjoying myself, and it is Peacemakers Horrors of War. Now, Peacemakers was such an interesting game. It comes from that line of games from Snowdale Design, where they started off, I think they started off with Dawn of Peacemakers, and then they went to Dale of Merchants, which somebody recommended that for my top 10 deck builders. In the comment section, they said, hey, get Dale of Merchants, and I already had it coming in. Dude, that game would have definitely made my top 10 list. That game's amazing, but we'll get to that on another day. But Dale of Merchants, Lands of Gazer, you know the games that they've created. But if you haven't checked them out, they just came out with a new one called Peacemakers Horrors of War. The reason I love this as a cooperative game is because it's a very different style of game. Most games, you're trying to fight against some kind of enemy. In this game, your controlled characters don't actually do much of that. I mean, you can attack and do certain things, but your main goal is to have, there's 2 tribes that are fighting each other, 2 factions, and you're in the middle of these 2 conflicts trying to stop it from happening. And so what you're trying to do is demotivate each side, so that once their motivation crosses a certain threshold, you're able to just have them make peace. So at the end of the round, the enemy's turn, so to speak, you'll check to see if they're in the peacemaking realm, and if they are, they'll usually just sign a peace deal, and then you successfully completed that scenario. I love it because it's scenario driven, so there's like 6 different scenarios, the first one being the easiest, and they gradually get harder over time. There's a lot of really cool card play that comes into this game, and it's just a fun cooperative game, and I just thought it was such an interesting concept that's so different from most games, where it's like, I'm not trying to fight, I'm trying to make peace. I'm trying to stop 2 people from fighting. Very interesting concept for a game. That's why it's my number 10. My number 9 was a game that made my top 10 deck builders, and that is a game called Slay the Spire. And it was up there, man. It was really up there. It's a little lower on this list, but I still love it as a cooperative game, which is amazing because Slay the Spire was based off of a video game, which if you play it on PC, they had like a mod that you could do to add cooperative to it and add multiplayer. But for the most part, it's a solo game. But this game, you can play with multiple people, and it is really, really fun to play with people. It is a cooperative deck builder where you are fighting your way through different levels of like this Spire, and as you go up higher in the ranks, you get tougher villains and different things like that, and then you gotta face off against a boss, and you just build your deck up as you're going up this thing. And it's really cool because the cards you add into your deck, they stay in there until you lose, and then you gotta start over from the beginning. It is a roguelike game, so it's one of those games that you try to battle your way as far and as high as you can, but at the end of the day, the minute you die, you have to start from the very beginning again with nothing. So that's the way the game works, but you can house rule a lot of that stuff if that stuff really bothers you. But it's a fun game, very fun deck builder, and I love the cooperative nature of playing together with people, attacking people's monsters that are in their lane, and just saying, hey, look, let's switch. You can actually switch places with people. It's pretty cool, and I really like the card play in this game. Fun deck builder. My number 8 is a game called Too Many Bones. Too Many Bones is a phenomenal game by Chip Theory. Chip Theory makes a lot of really good games, including Cloud Spire, Burn Cycle. We got the new Elder Scrolls game coming out, Elder Scrolls Betrayal, I think it's called, or yeah, I forget. But man, Chip Theory makes some amazing games. Hoplomachus Victorum. I'm not going to continue to name all the games off, but these are really great games. And Chip Theory is known for making their games with the little chips. But it's a cooperative game where you have like these dice that you're trying to get new dice into your pool of dice, and then as you do, you kind of work your way through, like it's like a boss battler, but at the end of the day it is cooperative, so you can play with up to 4 people, but it is challenging. That's the one thing I'll say about this game, is that if you like a hard time, like you like a game that's gonna test your mind and test your wit and your intellect, this is the game that's going to do that, because you've really got to strategize how you're going to take out some of these villains. And some of the enemies are tough, man. They have crazy effects and different things that they do, but the main goal of the game is to just cooperate with the people around you, using your dice to heal one another and help do damage and things like that. Really great cooperative game. I love Chip Theory's games, even though like the vast majority of the game is played on this tiny little mat where you're just moving chips around, and it's so much fun. I really enjoy Too Many Bones. Can't wait to play a lot more of the Chip Theory games, because they seem like a lot of fun. My number 7 is Marvel Zombies, which is a zombicide game. So in this section, you could actually just do Zombicide. Any of the Zombicides, I think, from what I've heard, Black Plague is really good. I've played the 2nd edition of Zombicide, and I feel like I played another Zombicide, but Marvel Zombies happens to be my favorite just because it's Marvel. And I love the Marvel skin. I love the idea that you get to play as the zombies versus like regular Zombicide, you're playing as humans fighting zombies. In Marvel Zombies, you get to play as zombie heroes fighting the regular heroes, but you can also play, if you have the X-Men Resistance expansion, you can play as normal X-Men fighting zombie heroes. So it's a really fun game. I think Zombicide is just so simple, and this one took out a lot of the extra mechanics that the first games had that made it a little bit more difficult to like keep track of stuff, like the little noise tokens. It's like, okay, if there's noise, then the zombie's going to head towards the noise, and then every time you open a door, you add noise tokens and things like that. Took out that whole mechanic and just streamlined it and made it so simple and so easy to play that I can teach this game in literally like a couple of minutes and have an amazing time. Marvel Zombies is my favorite version of Zombicide. It's one of my favorite cooperative games just because I love being able to just work together, rolling dice, and just having a great time and completing these objectives and these missions. And it's scenario based, so again, it's one of those games that you can just pick a scenario, play it, and that's it, which is really fun for me. My next game after that, my number 6, is Shadows over Camelot. Shadows over Camelot is a Grail game. This is not a game that they sell brand new copies of still. If you find a brand new copy, easily going to charge you about $100 for it or more. I was lucky enough to get my copy for like maybe 50-60 bucks, and it was used, but I played it and I was like, wow, this is such a fun game. So the way Shadows over Camelot works is that there's this big map. Everybody has a hand of cards, but you're not really allowed to communicate what you have. You can just kind of communicate like, yes, I've got the squires at the ready, right? Like you can say stuff like that to try to kind of hint at what's in your hand, but you can't just flat out tell people. But the goal of the game is that there's different, like, I don't know why I want to call them like mini games, but really it's like there's like 7 different like poker areas where you're trying to build poker hands, because all the cards have like numbers on them. And so it's like, over here we're trying to get 3 of a kind, over here I'm trying to get 4 of a kind, over here I'm trying to get a run of 1 2 3 4, and it kind of works like that. But you have to do it in a way where you are solving these objectives one at a time. People are going to different areas to do different objectives, but all the while you're all cooperating to get all this work done, there's a hidden traitor who is in there. Sometimes you can play with the traitor and sometimes you won't, but for the most part you play with a traitor who is actually trying to derail the whole group. But it's such a fun game because, like, even though it is a cooperative game, it's got a little bit of competitive part with, you know, that person who is on the bad side of things trying to mess y'all up. But Shadows over Camelot, very simple, easy to play. Once you get the hang of it, it is kind of a long game. I think it takes a little longer than it should. I think that's one of the downfalls of it, but I love it and I think it's a great game. And because it's a Grail game and it's hard to find, I love that I have a copy of it, and I love playing it with friends. So really cool game. Never tried it out. You should definitely play it at somebody's house if somebody has it, or at a convention or something like that. Or if you're in the Orlando area and you want to come out to one of my little conventions, just let me know and I'll bring it so you guys can try it. But that's Shadows over Camelot, my number 6. My number 5 is another Marvel game, and it is Marvel Champions. Marvel Champions is a living card game. Word of warning right from the beginning, there's a lot of content for this. They're still coming out with X-Men content at the moment, but there's a lot of bloat to the game. Like, it has already come out with so many expansions, and I just sold my copy of this game, but I love playing it still. I know people who have the game that I can go play with, and if I want to play it, but I can't not add that to my list of games that I love. The reason I sold it was just because, it was my wife doesn't enjoy playing it, and the people that do enjoy playing it, they already have their own copy. So it's like one of those things. It's the same reason I wanted to get rid of my Marvel Legendary, is because my friend has it and he has all the expansions, or a lot of the expansions. So it's like Marvel Champions, I don't necessarily need to have that game. It's not a game that people will play at my events because there's so much to it. There's so many keywords. But for those who want to get into it, buy that core box and maybe an expansion or two. This game is phenomenal, and playing it with other people is really, really fun. I'd say like maybe 2, max 3. I don't think I would play this at 4. It's very long and very drawn out, but the gameplay is very fun. I love the mechanic of being able to play cards from your hand, but the way you pay for the cards is with the cards in your hand. So if there's a card in my hand that costs 3, I have to discard 3 of my cards to pay for it, to use those abilities to do damage, draw extra cards, put things in play, upgrades that will get you card draws and different things, discounts and stuff like that. Like, it's a fun game, and playing as all of the unique heroes with the different powers that they have, it is amazing. I love Marvel Champions. It'll always be in my top 10 for a while. I'm sure it's going to trickle out at some point, but for right now, for my cooperative games, it's my number 5. My number 4 is Unmatched Adventures. So if you've ever played Unmatched is a competitive game, and you might be saying to yourself, Unmatched cooperative? Yeah, so maybe you've been hiding under a rock and you haven't known this, but Unmatched has created a cooperative version of the game, and I think they're actually coming out with another one of it coming out. When is it coming out? I forgot. Oh, the Ninja Turtles one. So they're coming out with an Unmatched Ninja Turtles, which is cooperative as well, and you have all 4 Ninja Turtles and you get to play as them against villains. But man, Unmatched is such a cool system in and of itself in the competitive side, but the cooperative version just took it to another level. Like, I thought I really liked Unmatched. Then I played this cooperative version, the Unmatched Adventures, and I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like this is the premier experience of Unmatched. I feel like this is even more fun than the competitive version. And the cool part is that it comes with like 3 bosses, or 2 or 3 bosses that you can fight against. And the best part is that you can use any of your heroes, like from the Marvel expansions, to fight against Mothman and the different things. Dude, Unmatched Adventures, amazing. And it's so much fun playing together with people and using your cards to do different things to help each other out. It was really, really interesting to see how those cards interact. But great game. Love Unmatched Adventures. My number 3 is another Marvel game. So that's like the 3rd one on the list, but promise this is the last one. Marvel United. The reason I have Marvel United over Marvel Champions is because it's just more accessible. It's so much easier to just get to the table and play. Like, you don't have to make a deck or anything like that. You just grab the pre-built things and you just say, hey, look, I want to play as Venom. I want to play as Spider-Man. You pull that character out, take out their cards, you're ready to play. You know what I mean? And it's such an easy system to play, but man, some of these bosses can be very, very difficult, and it was just such a ton of fun to play as your favorite heroes. And the gameplay is so simple. It's literally draw a card, play a card from your hand onto the timeline. You get the 2 symbols that are on your card and the 2 symbols on the previous card that was played, for a total of anywhere up to like 4 actions. And you take your 4 actions and do what you need to do. Rescue civilians, fight off thugs, and then once you've completed 2 of the objectives, you can fight the boss. And it's just, that's how the formula works. But it's so good. I really have a ton of fun playing Marvel United, and I'll always have fun. I bought 2 of the Kickstarter expansions, which was the X-Men and the first core set, plus all of the expansions and the what do you call them, the stretch goals and stuff like that. So I have the whole collection from the first 2. I did not back the 3rd one. Just too much money that I've spent already on Marvel United, and I was like, you know what, I'll sit this one out. And now they're doing DC United. So if you're not into Marvel and you say I prefer DC, they made DC United, which comes with a ton of characters, and it's on the DC side, which I've heard is even better than Marvel United, because they've already gained a lot of experience learning from Marvel United and all the different Kickstarters that they've done, that now DC United has a lot of really cool mechanics that they've added. So it's really, really interesting. I'm excited to try DC United, but we'll see once we get there. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is Sky Team. Sky Team is a 2-player only game that just won Spiel des Jahres, and rightfully so, which is awesome because 2-player games don't typically win these awards, but it was a big deal that this game won, and for good reason. It is a great cooperative game. It is a dice rolling game where you roll 4 dice into your little compartment, and then your opponent doesn't know what you're playing, but your job is to play those dice into this little airplane module and complete tasks to get your plane ready for landing. But if you don't play the right numbers, because you can't communicate with your co-pilot, the other player that you're playing with, it's a 2-player only game, you have to communicate, but you're not allowed to talk. So it's like, you're just hoping that they play the right number or have the right number. So it's like, I'm gonna play a 4 here, and then they play a 4, and it's like, okay, cool, we both played a 4, so the plane stays balanced. But if he had played like a 3 and I played a 4, then the 4 minus 3 would tip it 1 in this side, and then the plane would angle like this, and then it's like, that's fine for now, but once we have to land, we need to get that thing perfectly horizontal. So many fun things, applying the brakes and different stuff like that. This game is really good, and then it has a whole bunch of modules and different things you can do to just extend the play of this game. And for like $30, perfect for the price. I absolutely love this game. It is actually a 10 out of 10 in my book. And speaking of 10 out of 10s, let's go to my number 1, which is a game that I've loved since I've gotten it. It is my favorite cooperative game of all time. It'll always be my favorite cooperative game because I just love playing this game. I have all the expansions. Again, I missed out on the latest expansion, but again, it's just I don't have money for all this stuff. But that is Spirit Island. I know Nature Incarnate just came out, and that was a really good expansion. I want to get it eventually, but man, I love Spirit Island, man. It is the most thought-provoking, puzzly challenge that I have ever played, and again with a really interesting theme where you are the spirits of an island with the indigenous that live there. Is that the right word? Indigenous? The natives, that's what it is. And so the natives are being pushed out of their land by colonizers who are coming in to try to take over the island and take it for themselves. So you play as the spirits of that island to force them out. But the thing is that you don't have like a body to like do anything. You have to just drive fear into them by causing natural disasters and things like that. And each like spirit plays very differently. There's one spirit that's like the wave spirit, and they start off on the outside edges of the map, and they can literally like tidal wave into the map and draw like people out from the inside of the map. They can like pull them out into the ocean and drown them. Like, it's super interesting the way that you and then the Dahan, that's what they're called, the natives of the island, the Dahan. There's some spirits that like kind of like bolster them, and you use them to actually fight off the invaders and stuff like that. So such an interesting concept for a game. And then you're playing together. I also love the mechanic that they have where there are cards that have cards always have one of two symbols. They have a turtle symbol or a bird symbol. The bird is a fast card, so you can always play those first, but the turtle symbol is always played last. And in between the first and that last type of card, in between those is an enemy turn. So it's like when I play a card, it's like if it's a turtle, I know that this is going to be a reactive card, meaning I'm playing this in reaction to what the enemy is going to do, which is usually shown by some cards. So I know the enemy is going to go here, so I'm going to react to that by playing this slow card. Or you could be proactive and play bird cards, which are faster, but some spirits are like rock spirits, and a lot of their cards are only slow. So, but then there's other cards that have there's other spirits that can like speed up your cards and stuff. So much fun, and being able to just work together is super good because it's like everybody's doing like their own thing, but you guys are cooperating. But I love it too because it kind of takes out the alpha gamer, because it's like, bro, everybody has such a complex hand and like such a unique individual player ability that it's like I don't have time to really do your turn for you. And so it's like, this is a game for gamers. This is not an easy or lightweight game. They did make a Spirit Island that you can get at like Target, which is no easier than these other spirits. Maybe they are, I'm not sure. I haven't really played that one, but from what I heard, it's just Spirit Island. It's just cheaper because it has a board that's all in one piece and stuff like that. So, but Spirit Island's fantastic. Just try it out one day, man. Get the opportunity to try it at a convention or something and play with some people who know how to play these games. But it's my favorite cooperative game. But what are your favorite cooperative games? Leave them in the comments section and let me know what are some games that I should try out, because I always like these suggestions, because people suggest stuff and I go get it. Somebody suggested Dale of Merchants, I got it, right? What games should I try out that are cooperative, that are your favorites? There were a lot that didn't make this list. There's some honorable mentions that I could do, like, for example, Marvel Dagger, Ultra, Massive Darkness, but there's a ton more. But I'm going to leave those for a separate video that I'll post later on this week of other great cooperative games. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hope this wasn't too long, but I'll see you guys later. Catch you on the flippity flip.